Ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Shit sandwich.
What the fuck is your problem?
Shut up, you freak!
Thanks, I needed that.
Welcome to the real world.
Our department.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
You are the leading asshole in the state.
Bitch, please.
Pass the Dutchie, my friends.
Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him.
What were you doing when the lights went out?
Birdie num-num.
Lynch me for what my people have done to your people.
Oh, durka.
It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
Warning, if you want your asses blown out, stay in the room.
Hello and welcome to Dave and Shecky's Groovy Boob Tube Review. I am Dave.
And I'm Shecky, and our podcast is all about bringing you reviews of movies that you can watch on the boob tube. Hence the clever title.
Yes.
Thanks, Dave. This week we have a movie to review and then a mini review. I guess we should do the mini review first.
All right.
So, as some of you may or may not know, back when we did, what did we review? The Dogtown and Z-Boys?
Oh, yes. Way back in the day when we did the Z-Boys.
The Dogtown and Z-Boys movie, the feature film, what was that called?
That was called Lords of Dogtown.
Lords of Dogtown.
Not Lords of Flatbush.
No. What? No. Come on.
Lords of Dogtown.
Okay. Lords of Dogtown. So, after we did that review, we got an email from Greg from California. And I guess in that review, we talked about pot a bit, right?
I don't know. I guess we did.
I mean, we must have. And so, out of nowhere, we get this email from Greg from California saying, "Oh, I've got a great movie you guys should review. Have you ever heard of The Money Tree?" And I was trying to be nice and said, no, we hadn't heard of it. But, if you want to send us a copy, go ahead and send us a copy. But the truth of the matter is that it's hard to review a movie that doesn't appear anywhere.
Yeah, very obscure. Very obscure low-budget cut here.
So 10 weeks later, we get an email from Greg saying, I found the movie. Send me your address, and I'll ship it out. So here it is, and we watched the movie. And we're watching the movie, and where are our notes, by the way?
I don't need notes, baby. I'm freeform.
Okay.
I'm all about the one-take freeform shit over here.
Yeah. So we watched the movie, The Money Tree, which was, what was the best part of The Money Tree for you? Well, what was it about, Dave?
Well, The Money Tree was about some cats in California there who
Dave,
had...
What was The Money Tree about?
Oh, man, why you got to keep doing that? Don't do that. Are you planning on editing that? Is that what's going on?
Of course.
Why? Why do you do that? I don't like
because
it.
Because you can't keep a voice like that going for the entire thing.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I don't like that.
All right, go ahead.
The Money Tree was about... See, you fucked it up. That's what you did. You fucked up the flow. Good, the bad producer. The Money Tree is about some cats in California who have a knack for growing weed. And what I liked about this movie was that those were some large-ass plants. They had some big-ass plants out in the woods there. I mean, that was some shit. And that looked like some real pot to me.
Oh, that was definitely...
I ain't no expert, but that looked like some real big butts.
Well,
I've been around the music industry long enough to know that was some big-ass pot.
I'd never seen pot so big. Like, I don't know anything about the plants, but somehow I never imagined that they were like 15 feet tall. I mean, it's like, Christ. They're like oak trees. They're like mighty oak trees that have been there for like 30 years or something.
I tell you, the movie had some great scenes, interspersed with some, really cheesy, just really cheesy shit. It was like, it would have been better as a documentary, like The Making of the Money Tree.
Yes, that is so true, because the movie itself,
I'm sorry.
It was kind of bad.
All right, here's what I like about the movie. I liked at the end how they show you that the guy says, they say they should make a movie about my life. And then it goes right to a scene where they're having a cast party, basically, the wrap for the movie, and they did make a movie about the guy's life, maybe.
Yeah.
Or someone based on someone's life.
Or that was just
that's what I got from
weird
it. It seemed
plot
like
device to
because
to be able to end it.
how are these guys going to get the money to make the movie in the first place? They had to have an operation going. They got a couple of batches off, and then they make the movie about it. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say, because I'll tell you what, I did like the filming. That I liked the pot scenes. Except the guy what was the main guy's name? David. His name was David.
Yeah.
I don't know remember what his name was in real life, but he seemed to be like
Dean Stack.
He seemed to be like smelling the pot too much.
Well, yeah,
it was like his pot girlfriend or something.
He really liked it. He was passionate about. He was passionate about his art.
I mean, I don't know. If you go and want to buy some pot, do you want to know that some guy's been like rubbing his nose in it?
I think there's a lot worse that goes on in most cases. If that's the worst that happened in the transport of that weed.
Ew, what do you mean?
Because
have you heard stories?
I heard some things.
What
I heard things, kid.
I can't even imagine, but it was almost weird, because he was just like, I don't know. But I gotta say, the best part of the movie was just all the shots of the weed, because it had to be real. I mean, you can't just... you don't...
The worst part was perhaps the sax player on the the sax player on the waterfall, randomly playing the black sax player while he was taking... Oh, this cat liked to shower a lot.
Yeah!
He was a showering guy. I like to shower too, so I can relate to that. But
yeah, but
this guy was a showerer.
He was showering way too much.
A lot of naked guys stuff going on.
He was always showering, and yeah, there was this like cheesy like sax thing going, almost like softcore porn on Cinemax at night.
It was really funny. That was some really the 80s were still like an influence.
Oh my god! And then what the sax player was wearing? Did you see what he was wearing? That coat. It was like that
Miami Vice.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was like magenta and royal blue.
I think he was a member of Miami Sound Machine.
Are you? No.
Well, that's what he looked like.
He looked like you.
But other than that,
But it was just so. Anyway, there was like really cheesy. There was some really cheesy moments though. But there were some good scenes. But like one of them was when in the very beginning, when they're at he's at that chick's house and the guy is sitting in the wheelchair, like angry guy Charlie, I think his name was.
It looked like he was a Vietnam vet.
He looked like he had like some sort of
a young Vietnam vet.
He looked like he had some sort of camouflage jacket on or something, and he was just like this angry guy sitting in this wheelchair, and this other guy is in the house, the pot guy, the showering guy,
the bad guy,
the guy who sniffs the pot. He was in their house talking to the chick, and the angry guy in the wheelchair was just like all sullen in the wheelchair. And then, like, after a few minutes of conversation, he just gets up out of the chair and walks out of the room. And the chick's like, what? He likes the chair. I mean, to me, that was like, if there had been that sort of stuff throughout the movie, it would have been an 8 or a 9. But that was it. That was it. The next thing that made us laugh was the black guy in the middle of by the waterfall, and that wasn't the same kind of laugh.
Well, it was quite amusing. Actually, while I was watching it, I was trying to think to myself, why is this guy compelled to send us this video? So we watched through the whole thing. Well,
we watched through the whole thing and are giggling at the dialogue. I even write in my notes, ugh, crappy ad-libbing. At one point, that's what I wrote. I even wrote the ugh. And so at the end, the credits come up, and it says dialogue by the actors, and I was like, well, there you go. I mean, it can't all be golden. If you have a movie that's a couple hours long.
Well, there was no script.
There was no script. I mean, there was a story. It was kind of like a precursor to the Larry David.
This is like, a porno film. This is like a porno film for weed people. It's like weed porn. The plot is really secondary. The plot's kind of loose, and the acting is kind of loose, but there's some great money shots.
And showering. So we're watching the credits, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, rewind. And there it was. Greg from California's name right there in the credits. He got us.
He got us.
He got us to watch his movie.
Not only was he part of the production, but he also had a role. He was one of the maybe you could call him starring characters of one of the main characters who had a scene.
Yeah, and you know what?
He played the painter, and if I'm not mistaken.
Rusty.
And that was quite amusing.
He was Rusty.
So, touche to you.
But the problem with Rusty's character, and before we even knew that Greg from California was Rusty, we were like, well, what the fuck ever happened to Rusty?
Well, he got busted.
He got busted, and then no one gave a shit about Rusty.
Shit started happening, and other people got shot. Stuff went on. So, Rusty's in jail. What are you going to do?
I guess Rusty's the only safe one because he's in jail.
Well, it wasn't like he got busted with that much. He probably got out.
What'd they say? He had a couple pounds, right?
Yeah, a few pounds, but, he probably worked that out.
I don't know.
Work through that.
I don't know. People get caught. I think they get in trouble or something.
Yeah, he gets out and he deals with it. The trial down the road.
So, if there had been a Money Tree 2, it might have been Rusty's story.
There's no Money Tree 2. That's the beauty of the Money Tree. See, these people didn't try to make a sequel. There's no Money Tree 2, 3, 4. It's it.
I looked at the guy who directed or wrote it. I looked at him up on IMDb to see what other things he had done. Not a thing.
Well, don't look too closely.
I did. Well, I looked.
It's a low-budget, underground production.
Way underground. And it just never, and nothing else.
You can't get too above ground with this kind of production, because I'm telling you, there was too much stuff illegal in this production to make it. I mean, this is not Disney's not going to take this one.
No, but I mean, look at Hustle and Flow. I mean, there's movies out there about rape and
Hustle
stuff.
and Flow didn't have real marijuana plants, big ones, growing in the woods.
Oh, so you think it's like kind of like an FU to the government, so that no one wanted to touch it?
Those are real plants. If those are real plants, those plants existed on camera. You can't whatever. I'm all for it. Go for it. Fuck the goddamn authority. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
I just thought it was I just thought it was very clever of young Greg from California.
He put him fast one on us.
You put him fast one. Greg, a.k.a. Rusty.
Have a nice day.
All right. So anyway, if you ever come across the Money Tree,
it's worth watching. I
guess it's kind of worth watching. What would you give it on a scale from 10? And be honest.
Well, if I can quote Jon Stewart from Half Baked, it's better on weed. So yeah, the movie's okay, but have you tried it on weed?
I don't think I've watched Half Baked.
Well, Jon Stewart, has a few times he comes in, and he's always saying that whatever you talk about, he's like, yeah, that's cool, but have you tried it on weed? He's like, have you been to that movie? Oh yeah, that movie's good, but on weed.
Oh God. So
it's like a whole thing.
Well, I have not tried it on weed.
Hey, try it on weed. You probably like it. Try it on rye.
Try it on wheat.
It's better on a Ritz.
Speaking of on weed, I think we can graduate to on acid and talk about the real review this week.
Thank you very much. On to the real review.
And this week's review is
A Clockwork Orange.
Indeed.
Yes, a little bit of the ultra-violence, perhaps.
So, this movie is on acid. Just straight up on acid, isn't it?
Well, it's very, very abstract. It's out to lunch.
It is. It's completely insane.
Well, lest we not forget, Stanley Kubrick is completely nuts. He apparently is out of his brain. There's no denying it. If you thought it was perhaps just not true, it's definitely not. It's true.
Well, Kubrick wrote the screenplay.
I don't
know how much I don't know if it varied much from what Burgess's novel is.
All those shots with all that bizarre sex stuff and violence and out there shots. Those the directing of the cinematography was him, right? I mean, that's like.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a director. He's a director.
He's out to lunch. He's out to lunch. He's, he's the guy you would have expected to have been found in a hot tub with a 16-year-old girl, frankly.
What do you mean he's the guy?
Roman Polanski, okay, who knows what he was up to, because you watch this guy's films and you would think that I can't imagine that he didn't get into trouble in his real life.
Wasn't the Roman Polanski girl 13, Dave?
13, 16, with a couple of Quaaludes in 1970s. Who knows what's going on?
Let me just say, it's never okay.
I didn't say it was okay. I just said, who knows what's going on? 13, 16, back in the 70s with Jack Nicholson in the hot tub. It gets a little crazy.
See, you say crazy, I say criminal.
All right.
Fair enough. Touche.
I'm not going to get into that.
Well, get into what?
What? The girl even says that they should be forgiven.
That doesn't matter.
She's a grown woman. She said...
she wasn't at the time.
All right. She has no say in anyone involved.
Not when you're 13.
It's up to the state to decide.
Oh, please. And you don't think somebody gave her money to say,
I don't know enough about the case.
Then why are you saying?
All I'm saying is that Stanley Kubrick is out of his brain.
There was me. That is Alex. And my 3 droogs. That is Pete, Georgie, and Dim. And we sat in the Korova milk bar trying to make up our razoo docs what to do with the evening. The Korova milk bar sold Milk Plus Velocet, or Synthamesk, or Drencrum, which is what we were drinking. This would sharpen you up and make you ready for a bit of the old ultra-violence.
So, the plot of A Clockwork Orange, other than the craziness, is that there's a real plot to it. And Malcolm McDowell plays Alexander Delarge, who is and to be honest, they're trying to make it like he's a high school kid, but quite frankly, he seems older than high school. I mean, just right off the bat. Don't you agree?
I didn't know he was supposed to be high school. I thought it was, maybe like college or something.
No, because you wouldn't have the truant officer come to your house if you're in college.
I didn't know what that guy was.
He was like I think he was like the truant officer, how they used to have them back in the day.
The guy was like this and grabbed his cock at the end of talking to him.
That's the guy.
Yes, he's very, very strange, Alex.
But anyway, so apparently Alex is in high school. He's high school aged, so we're thinking 17, 18. And truthfully, he already looked to be about, 25 or 30. But the opening scene of them in that milk bar, the first thing that came to my mind was like, Got Milk Plus? I mean, why isn't that one of the ads? Or is it?
It can't be one of the ads. If you look, it's completely graphically sexual.
No, just of his face with the milk.
Oh.
Not with the women in the back.
Yeah, I don't think that's the image they're going for there.
That's not what the Dairy Council is looking for? That's too bad. But he's a part of this gang, this group of toughs. Now this is supposed to be futuristic? How far into the future
I'm not
does
sure
it say?
about that. It doesn't say.
I wonder if it says in the book.
I don't think they specify in the movie.
Well, it says, the plot summary is in a futuristic Britain. So, I mean, I don't know how far into the future it is.
Well, they were still listening to records.
Yeah, there you go.
And and 2001 Space Odyssey was a current enough movie that it was featured in the record display at the store. So I don't know how far in the future it was.
I don't know if it was futuristic or more of like parallel universe. A parallel universal Britain. Because things were definitely odd. Like the house was odd. It seemed very mod, actually. It didn't seem futuristic. It seemed mod.
It was a bit askew.
But anyway, he is the leader of this group of guys, these 4 guys that go out And just in the first 5 minutes of the movie, they are breaking and entering, they are raping, they are beating, and eventually he murders somebody too with a large porcelain penis. Everything about this movie is so incredibly crazy. It's just completely fucked up. It's like a bad acid trip, isn't it? It's
disturbed.
It's so disturbing, and the story is, and we watched the on the DVD. It has the trailer, and the trailer doesn't have any words. It's just music, but it has like images on the screen. And in amongst the images, it'll have like a keyword every once in a while, and some of the keywords were like, funny, hilarious. It's just like, this is not really a comedy.
It's not a comedy, but it was quite amusing.
It has funny moments.
It's very bizarrely funny, and I like the way they talk, and I like the way he narrates it.
Yeah,
they have cool little words for things that are a little different. Instead of C, they say vidi. And instead of night, he would say nachi.
He said a lot of weird stuff.
And all kinds of stuff like that. And
me Gulliver. I don't do the English.
And what's cool is Kubrick used the music similar, like he's very dramatic with his music.
Yeah.
Sort of like The Shining, similar in that respect.
And 2001.
There you go.
And I saw on the IMDb the trivia that this movie is one of only 2 movies rated X on its original release, the other being Midnight Cowboy, to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, this one I can see. This one deserves to be rated X. If anything, does much more than Midnight Cowboy. Midnight Cowboy is a joke that's rated X.
Why is that rated X?
Because of the scene between John Voight and his man-whore victim. No.
What?
It's the scene between John Voight and the priest where he's having some sort of sex with the priest for money, and there is imagery of like the church or Jesus Christ or the cross interspersed with like them like having oral sex or something. And it's not explicit, but it's suggestive enough that in 1968 or whatever that was, it was going to freak people out too much.
Wow,
it's bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit.
I think this one is much worse than that.
Well, yeah,
I mean, I don't remember that part.
It's this is like an artsy film. This is very bizarre stuff. They don't make them like this anymore. I don't think they ever made them like this necessarily.
You're right. I just don't think they do. Hollywood is on like a fast track to just.
This movie's so unpolitically correct. It's hysterical. It's really,
Yeah, it's got everything, really.
Malcolm McDowell's faces and the way he just looks so fucking like insane and like depraved. It's really great. It's just great. I think there's some really great acting in that movie.
Yeah.
The guy who plays the conspirator who's in the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
That shit is just, there's some priceless acting, and this is like some of it, just in its warped, subtle ways. That's my take on it. It's pretty violent and a little uncomfortable to watch, but it's pretty fucking brilliant, I think.
Well, again, the plot is he's got this group of his little gang of 4 that he hangs out with. They go out and they do all this.
His droogs.
His droogs. He has. They go out and they do all this evil shit, and eventually, when he kills the woman with the penis, she has already called the cops prior to them coming into the house, or prior to him coming into the house. So he, because she had read in the newspaper that someone was trying to come into people's houses by saying a certain sentence, and she recognized it, and so she called the cops. So he gets in, hits her in the head with the big white porcelain penis.
Well, first they have a little dance, or she's trying to hit him, and he's dancing around her with the huge porcelain penis, and a sort of death dance sort of thing.
And it was. Anyway, so let me get back to the plot. But he comes out of the house. He hears the sirens. Comes out of the house. One of his droogs hits him in the face with a bottle of milk.
And the milk is actually like alcohol based, or there's something in the milk that is like an intoxicant. It's not just milk.
It's Milk Plus. That's what they call it.
It's basically, this is some sort of like futuristic Orwellian society, and he even says in the beginning in his narration how the stuff they're drinking sort of like makes them a little bit more violent. He's like it inspires violence.
Exactly.
Not unlike alcohol, but just alcohol weirded out.
I think it's actually not even alcohol. I think it's like drugs, just like some sort of
weird mind-altering government-issued Milk Plus.
So the cops come, they arrest him, and the woman who gets hit in the head with the porcelain penis actually dies. So now he's in for murder. So he goes into jail. He's sentenced to 14 years, but after 2 years, there's this government experimental treatment where they feel like they can, if you go through the treatment, you can get out of jail immediately, basically, and be completely cured. And the treatment is really fucking crazy, right, Dave?
Yeah, mind control, baby. Freaking mind control.
What's the treatment?
Well, they force him to watch videos of violence and rape and all sorts of depraved activities, and it makes as well they inject him with a serum that causes his body to have violent nauseous reaction to whenever he sees these images or thinks about violence or anything like that. So it's kind of out there.
Right. So he goes to this treatments where, and they take this device, and I'm sure you've already seen the movie, but they take this device and they pry his eyelids open, and it just is so odd to see them doing that. It seems so painful, but it's...
And they keep dropping water in his... they keep lubricating his eyeballs like every 2 seconds so that he doesn't have to blink. So he doesn't blink. They just keep making his eyeballs wet, and he's forced to watch these videos. And in the background, they got music going. And it turns out that it's the music that he loves the most, which is Beethoven.
Ludwig van, as he likes to call him. So
now after the treatment, whenever he hears Beethoven, that particular piece... it has a horrible, violent reaction, and it's like it's really bad, kid.
It's really bad. He starts he just gets really ill. He falls down and whatnot. But so he goes through the treatment, and at the end they have this test in front of all these other political bigwigs and cops and whatever. During the presentation of his miraculous cure, they have some guy come out and start a fight with him, and Alex DeLarge gets pissed, but as soon as he thinks about fighting the guy back, he starts to get sick and falls on the ground.
He gets violently ill and starts retching, basically. He starts, heaving.
And then they bring a woman out who's, almost completely naked. She's got underpants on. And she comes walking across the stage.
One of the many naked women in the movie.
Oh, my God. So, unlimited amount of naked women. Lots of boobs. But... he gets all turned on by her, and then she comes close and he goes to touch her, and again he gets violently ill. So he's been cured, apparently. He's now been cured. So they let him out, and somehow he becomes and he goes home, and the parents have already rented out his room, and he's really not wanted there. He's not wanted anywhere. And, he's such an asshole in the beginning of the movie. It's very hard to feel for him, but somehow you do a little bit. And he becomes sort of like...
It's because his narration, you see, you get personally involved with him because he's the narrative.
Yeah, and the narrative is very funny.
It's good on the part of Malcolm McDowell and, I guess, Kubrick.
So, at some point, he becomes almost a political hot potato where... I don't know who's in power, if it's the left or the right. I'm not sure, but the opposing power somehow gets it out that he has been abused.
We assume it's the right. because the people who are trying to get it out are referred to as the subversives. And you show me a right-wing subversive, and I'll show you something I ain't never seen before.
So the right is the ones that are in power?
The right are evil, the left are the subversives trying to uproot. They're only referred to as subversives from the media, which is controlled by the government.
Oh, what it was.
They're not subversive unless, you're...
Who called them subversives?
That's what I'm saying. It's from the point of view of the government.
Yeah, but you're saying as if you heard that word.
Because in the credits, the guys they're referred to as the subversive guy, subversive girl, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay.
But that's only in the eyes of who they're trying to be subversive to.
Okay. So anyway, he becomes, he's been abused by the government, and he's been tortured, and he's been experimented on, and it's just wrong. What the government is doing is wrong. So they somehow clamor into getting him fixed back to the way he was, which I think is just a horrible idea. I mean, it's just horrible. And you almost kind of like him when he's the guy getting sick from all of this shit. But
no, he needed to be back to his old ways.
No, see, that guy scares me.
See, you like the evilness of him. That is it. He feeds into the evil side.
See, I don't like that evil side. I thought it was too... And he makes some faces, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, this movie made Malcolm McDowell, I believe. I believe Malcolm McDowell's career was made based on this movie,
and it deserved to be. It's quite a movie.
Well, he certainly
quite a role.
I don't think Cat People did much for his career. Let's put it that way.
Was he in Cat People?
Yes, he was the brother of Nastasia Kinski. Nastasia Kinski. What is it?
Natasha?
Nadia Comaneci. Nastasia Kinski. Nastasia? Natasha. Nastasia. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I don't think I've seen Cat People. Is that dirty?
You're not missing much.
Was that a dirty movie?
I guess when you're about 14, yeah, it's pretty dirty. By now, at this point, it's probably laughable.
Really? Were they cat people?
Well, yes, they're the cat people, and there's a bit of an incest thing. See, Malcolm McDowell's character wants to live a little bit of the old in and out with his sister, who is also a cat, you see, and when they have sex with anyone but each other, they inevitably kill the person they're having sex with.
So
see, they turn into leopards once they have an orgasm. That's what it is.
Shut up. There is not a movie like that.
That's exactly what it is.
Shut the fuck up.
They have an orgasm, they turn into a leopard, and they kill the person. So,
oh my God.
So Malcolm McDowell comes hunting to find his sister, who's the only true person they can ever have sex with and be true, because otherwise they're meant for each other because they're going to kill everyone else. That kind of thing. But she doesn't want to have anything to do with it because she doesn't want to have incest with her creepy Malcolm McDowell brother.
So he's creepy too?
Well, yeah, he's Malcolm McDowell. I mean, this is, I think, okay. So he does Clockwork Orange, then what, Caligula, and then Cat People. I mean, he's pretty fucking creepy.
So just tell me the end of Cat People.
I think the end of Cat People, Malcolm McDowell, I believe, is shot probably in panther form, if I'm not mistaken. And I think maybe, I don't know, maybe it's either that or they end up going off to a zoo or something.
Wait,
she might end up in a zoo. So
they're not cat people all the time?
Well, after they have the orgasm, they turn into the leopards.
For how long?
I'm not sure how long. It's been a while since I saw the movie. And then they turn back, It's sort of like American Werewolf in incestual orgasmic cat people. London.
All right, I might have to just see that movie.
No, it's quite comical. I mean, if you're a Malcolm McDowell fan, which I was because of Clockwork Orange. See, that's the bizarre thing. You see Clockwork Orange as a kid, and somehow you're like, wow, that's a great movie. And then if you think about it, you're kind of like, okay, that's completely warped, insane movie. But now seeing it again, I can see, yeah, it is a great movie. But it's not something you should be like, don't look up to these people.
It's a great movie for really weird reasons. I mean, the story is just horrible.
I mean, it's great in the same sense that you love Freddy Krueger. I mean, so,
Dave, this is worse than Freddy or Jason.
It's a acid head's fucking Jason.
I mean, I can imagine being completely fucked up on acid and going to see this movie and having it ruin your life.
I saw it at the 8th Street Playhouse in about 1981. It didn't ruin my life.
But you probably weren't on the acid.
I wasn't on the acid, but I might have been on the mescaline.
Really?
Yeah, the purple microdots.
I never seen them.
Yeah, the bad stuff. Stay away from that shit, kid.
Really?
Yeah, me and Sean Hannity doing that stuff.
You were doing mescaline with Sean Hannity?
Well, you didn't hear it from me.
Shut up. You don't even know Sean Hannity.
Me, Sean Hannity, and Carol O'Connor's kid.
Okay.
The dead one.
We have to insert a warning here. Dave is lying. What you've just heard is a lie. Dave has never hung out with Sean Hannity.
It's true. But I'll tell you this much. When I was in high school, if you wanted to score coke, you were supposed to call Hugh O'Connor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that turns out to be the guy who was on In the Still of the Night. And then he killed himself.
That was Carol O'Connor's kid?
Yeah.
Are you serious? That was the guy to call?
I'm telling you, I never called him, but I heard the name go around.
Wow.
Yep, he was like a rich kid, and he had a
But
big,
how come
big
I thought
coke
Carol
connection.
O'Connor was like blaming someone else for his kid's death?
Yeah, he couldn't admit the truth.
So his kid was just, this was in what year?
His kid was a major provider, dude.
And what year was that?
No, I don't know what his kid... I think his kid had a problem, and he probably...
just sold it for money and stuff?
He sold it to support his habit type of thing.
And what year was that?
That was around 1984.
And you went to school just to tell everybody?
I went to school just to tell everybody what?
Where it was. It was like in New York City or something, right?
Oh, I thought you... I didn't understand that. I thought you said I went to school to tell everybody.
You went to school just to tell everybody
how
about
you
Hugh
doing?
O'Connor.
I'm in school. Let me tell you something.
Just to let the masses know that it wasn't like, that you're not really making this part up.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I went to school in Manhattan, at Walden. I was at Walden.
But Walden's some sort of weird kind of high school, right?
Walden was a prep school, but it was also known as kind of like a druggy school. But Walden was based on the theories of Thoreau. So, it's a progressive school. Emerson and Thoreau,
And by progressive, you mean people are like smoking pot?
No, man, it's like a cool approach to education.
But I think weren't people everybody was like smoking pot in the school and calling teachers by their first names?
There were no grades, man. You hung out with John, who was your professor, man.
Wait, there was no grades at all?
No, I'm just kidding. That was the school I went to before that, which I won't even mention at this point.
So, but is Walden still open?
Walden is not open.
Oh.
Let me tell you something about Walden.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get... No, let's not get into it. All right?
What
Now
happened?
We're treading too close. I like to keep things a little close to the chest here with the cards.
Well, tell us, what about Walden?
Matthew Broderick went to Walden. Okay, now that may suck, but but Andrew Goodman went to Waldman. All right,
Andrew Goodman.
Walden. He went to Waldman.
Who's Andrew Goodman?
Andrew Goodman is the kid who was shot trying to further the fucking civil rights down in Mississippi. All right, that's what Mississippi Burning's based on.
Okay.
And Walden had the Andrew Goodman building there, a whole building dedicated to the kid.
Wow. Okay, so the school had been around for quite a while.
Yeah, and a lot of heavy cats had come out of Walden there. The Kenny Lonergan.
Kenny Lonergan
went to Walden. They're famous for Analyze This and Analyze That, even perhaps. No, that's he's a good bit of playwright over there.
A playmate?
He's a playwright.
Oh, playwright.
A playmate.
He's a playmate.
Yeah, Pamela Anderson, Kenny Lonergan.
The greats.
I'm wearing a Kenny Loggins, actually.
And who else went there? Anybody else?
Who else went there?
It was like a
lots of cats have gone there, and I can't think of them right now.
Okay, terrific.
Why the hell am I talking about that? Because of the Coke.
The Coke.
Yeah, well, back in the 80s, okay, if you graduated high school in Manhattan in the mid-80s and you didn't get cocaine at your graduation, you were not hip.
Shut up, really?
Everybody, graduation, you got Coke. You get a few grams.
As a present or just for the
ceremony? No, this is what you would do. You'd go and you got the Coke and then you'd hang out with your friends and do it.
Really?
The 80s in Manhattan. Exactly.
See, in the 80s...
High school kids. You see, we get the Coke for $100 a gram.
From Hugh O'Connor?
Yeah, or someone else that was even worse.
So, see, I grew up...
Rodriguez O'Connor.
I grew up probably about 50 miles outside of New York City, in Morris County, New Jersey, in a not-so-great neighborhood, actually, but there was... no one was doing Coke at graduation. No. That wasn't like... That's so fucking crazy. Was it like that in all of Manhattan or just at the high school you were at?
No, that shit was all over the place. It was all over the place. And I would even bet to this day it's still all over the place. And now it's even more extreme, like with ecstasy and stuff.
I mean, unless I just completely missed it at my school, but no one even spoke of Coke.
And it wasn't like we did it all the time. That was like a special occasion. But it was like, yeah, that's going to be fun. Like, it was like, we're going to get some Coke and there's going to be that would be fun, and we'd stay up all night and be fiends. And then I didn't do it anymore after a little bit, and almost all my friends from those days still do it to this day.
But they're kind of not doing so well, right?
90% of them, their lives are ruined. No names to mention.
Yeah, no, but...
some of them are doing all right. But, you know, let me tell you kids out there, it is a gamble.
Well, wait.
That shit's a gateway.
So you're saying that the people who you knew that did coke, that still do coke now, have graduated to other stuff, or is it still just coke that's fucking them up?
Well, yeah, some have gotten into heroin and stuff too, but coke's about as bad. Coke's worse than heroin. Coke's as bad as it gets. Heroin, you either bottom out or you recover. But coke, people just keep doing it, and it ruins their lives. And they just keep doing it. And they do that shit, and then they can't recover, and it takes 2 days to get over what they did for a night. They go out for a night, they stay up all night, and then it takes 2 days to get back to normal. And then, hey, wow, it's 2 days. Then, okay, Friday comes around again, and you do it again. So before you know it, if you do it every Friday, you're basically taking 3 days out of your functioning routine. So then you only have 4 days where you can possibly function normally, but you're catching up because you've been fucking up for those other 3 days because you're trying to recover from being all fucked up. These are the people who, like, you know, they go out and they stay out and they get some coke, and then it's 4 a.m. and they get some more coke.
As opposed to going home.
Yeah, and then they stay up to, like, you know, 11 a.m. And then, okay, if they don't have their fucking Valium or Xanax or whatever hell it is to get down from the coke, then they stay up all day. You know, it's like some kind of insane thing. Like, why would you want to do this to yourself?
It doesn't see. None of that sounds fun to me.
Yeah, and like interspersed within that, there's maybe like a couple of hours of, like, you know, really positive thinking and like talking much too much about shit that just doesn't matter.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done that shit since, 1993. And I never was into it too heavily. But it's too many people, man, fucked up from it. I mean, like, their lives been ruined.
I never did it. Never did it once.
Yeah, you're a rarity. You're a real rarity.
I don't know. I think maybe there's other people in Morris County, New Jersey, who just never did it either, because it just didn't, as far as I knew, it wasn't around. But I just remember in high school we had Munchie. This kid who would go around and he'd have Munchie, his name was Munchie, and he would go around and he had loose joints in his Marlboro box, and he would sell you a loose joint for $1, and we thought that was thrilling.
Oh, like, that's good. That's cool.
We'd be like, "Hey, Munchie, you got any? Can I borrow a pack of cigarettes?" And then you'd kind of give him the look, and then you'd give him $1, and then you'd smoke your joint. But
I'm surprised.
I mean, that's as far as it went in my crowd, and and I didn't do anything other than pot until like 1989 when I went to my first Dead show, and then it was just it was eating acid like candy. There was like a good 4 or 5 years where I was just like eating acid like candy.
Hey now.
And that was kind of crazy. And then I just stopped because it was just too insane. But I never tried the coke.
Yeah, you got to watch out there, you kids. And you start drinking that goddamn knee-high, before you know it, you're popping the pills.
Knee-high? Oh, was that like soda?
Yeah, grape knee-high. We got to watch that stuff.
Do they still make that?
Let me tell you, the grape knee-high leads to the quarts of beer, which lead to the pot, which leads to the acid, which leads to the cocaine and heroin.
No.
And then before you know it, you're gone, baby. So don't mess around, kids.
Acid
Stay clean.
Dave.
And vote Republican.
David.
What?
Acid does not lead to cocaine.
Okay, but somewhere...
Something has to lead to cocaine, but it's not acid.
All right, it's pot.
Yeah, it never led me to that. But I wasn't a huge smoker either.
It's not. It's just it's just inevitable. If you're a fiend, you're gonna find fiendish material. That's all there is to it.
Well, that's true.
You're gonna be addicted to something. You're addicted to porn. You're addicted to fucking coke. Whatever. If you're a fiend, you are a fiend.
And now the kids are doing what? The ecstasy, or is that old news now?
I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing either. Those
you know
kids.
What? I don't like the kids today. Fuck those kids. They ain't learned their lessons, and they acting like they know everything. You know what? I have a feeling I didn't know anything, and now I'm just old enough to realize it.
I think all kids act like they know everything.
Sucks.
Yeah.
No one remembers what we've learned just 20 years ago. And I'm not even going to give specifics, but, history's condemned to repeat itself because no one fucking wants to remember. And then, you get old enough and the new kids come in, and you kind of feel like you don't matter anymore, and you let them take over with their ideas that they don't have fully,
It's a cycle.
It's horrible.
It's a cycle.
Now look at it in the music industry. It's like all these bands. I can't. I'm disgusted.
Which bands are disgusting you personally?
Oh, Jesus. I don't even know. If I can think of one in the next couple of minutes, I'll tell you. But it's not even individual bands. It's just...
the industry?
I don't know. It's just like an attitude. It's this goddamn Japanese voodoo gadgetry attitude. These goddamn space-age whiz kids with their fucking pocket calculators. I'm telling you, they're taking over the universe over here.
But
I'm just trying to stand in the corner with a pack of Luckies, and before I know it, there's a goddamn kid on a motorbike whizzing by me with a computer in his head.
What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. The computer kids, they're taking over.
Yeah, but you don't smoke Luckies. You don't smoke at all.
Exactly, but there's guys like me. I'm thinking like guys thought in the, I'm just saying, I'm not the first person to get a little older than the kids who were coming up and then start thinking this way. To me, it's like a revelation. I'm like, oh, Jesus, this new generation of people, they don't know what the hell's going on. Well, I think older people have thought that for years about younger people.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's just me, where I'm at, baby. That's my headspace. That's the bag I'm in.
Okay.
Over there.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah, but, that said, fuck you kids.
Okay.
Well, you got to learn some lessons before you go out and think you know it all.
Yeah, but you have
study. Learn to play.
Dave.
Oh, I'm talking about music.
Dave.
What?
Those kids are the ones that are mostly listening to the show. I would say that.
I know. That's what I'm saying, kids. Keep fucking practicing. Get out that practice pad, you fuck. If you don't use a pad, use it in your head. A proverbial practice pad.
Are you talking about drumming?
I'm talking about life. Be prepared. Don't go out there and act like you know. You don't know.
But you know what? I think when I was younger, I acted like I knew.
Exactly. I did too.
And you know what? Now I'm like embarrassed of myself. Like I'll read like forum posts around the internet by kids that are like 19, 20, and they're just talking shit like they know, like they've lived and they know shit, and they don't. And I don't even respond to it because it's just like they'll realize in another 20 years that they didn't know. But it sucks because they also don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that they don't know.
Yep.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you give A Clockwork Orange to bring it back?
I would have to give that an 8.
An 8?
Yes.
What would you give a 10?
I don't know. I would probably give The Shining a 10.
And so this is...
Oh, well, dig this, man. Like, he tweaked his shit just a little bit on The Shining. That's what I'm saying. And you know what? Like, the funny thing is, the guy who plays the father in The Clockwork Orange plays Delbert Grady, the butler, I believe it is,
the guy
in The Shining.
Who needs to be corrected.
Yes, he comes in to make sure that Jack gets the job done.
What was your other piece of interesting trivia?
Oh, wait, first of all, let me tell you, also, half the cast that's in Clockwork Orange, or 3/4 of the cast in Clockwork Orange, have appeared on the TV show Softly, Softly.
What is that? I
don't know. Some sort of...
Is that a British show?
British TV show. Maybe someone out there knows. I don't know.
Did Kubrick do that show?
And, nope. But a bunch of the cast is in it, and a bunch of the cast is also in Z-Cars, which is another series from like the 60s or 70s in England too, I guess.
Did you see if it was like Pinewood Studios?
I didn't notice, but there's like so many people have like the things in common that are in these movies. And then also several of the people in Clockwork Orange are in Barry Lyndon, which is 4 years later. But The Shining, which is 9 years after Clockwork Orange, only that one guy, Philip Stone, if I'm not mistaken, is in it from the previous.
That's very interesting. Now, your other piece of trivia I thought was very interesting as well.
And now the subversive weirdo guy in the wheelchair. Try the wine. That guy. His bodyguard, gay, sort of weird.
Shorts up the ass,
tight shorted bodyguard guy is. What was it?
David Prowse.
David Prowse, and David Prowse is Darth Vader. in all of the Star Wars movies.
He's the actor who plays Darth Vader.
He's not the voice, that's James Earl Jones, but he's the actual actor. And that was a bizarre bit of trivia. And actually, I was looking about some of the information about David Prowse, and he's done a lot of funny stuff from back in the day.
Yeah.
He's like, the monster in like these B movies from the 60s type of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's really... He's got an extensive career.
In that documentary, Empire of Dreams, they show the scenes where he's acting as Vader, and he's got like some, I don't know, I forget what nationality it is, but he has like this accent. And I guess they always planned on overdubbing or whatever, but when you hear him say the lines that, James Earl Jones eventually comes in and re-records, it's kind of funny. They show some scenes of it in Empire of Dreams, which is really a great documentary.
That's like the opposite, but it's like Schwarzenegger in the original, or what movie? Is it Hercules or
Conan? Or
it's just not his voice, and so you see Arnold Schwarzenegger talking, but they dubbed in like an American guy sounding voice because his accent, it was before he was known for his accent. This is like from like the 70s or 60s.
Oh, really? I don't remember.
Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and he's like talking, but it's like someone else's voice dubbed in because they're like, oh, we like the way he looks, but that voice, can't use him.
Really? I don't remember that.
His voice is his trademark.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's not Conan
maybe it's
not Conan the Obarian.
I thought maybe. You sure that's not Lou Ferrigno as Hercules? Because his voice was kind of screwy because he's a little deaf?
I think this happened with Schwarzenegger maybe also, if not only.
If not...
I'm not sure that it's Ferrigno.
I just want to see what the 2-point difference between The Shining and A Clockwork Orange are.
Well, all right. A Clockwork Orange is just completely like...
Is it the story
it's like Clockwork Orange is like he's like still like pretty much like really trying to get his thing together. Like he's got it together, but he's like all over the place. And it's just like it's very like abstract and like it's very ambitious, and he's going for a lot, and he pulls it off, but it's just sort of like mind bending a little bit. But The Shining, it's concise and it's to the point and it hits and it's fucking. It's like, it's like a really great musician early in his career. You can see like some brilliance. That's Clockwork Orange. But then Shining, it's like fucking Asia. It's like, Steely Dan's Asia is Shining to Kubrick. And like, Clockwork Orange is like, Royal Scam and Can't Buy a Thrill. Yeah, there's some brilliance there in those early Steely Dan albums. But, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing.
Well said, Dave.
Yeah.
I will give A Clockwork Orange a 9, but I
could be persuaded to 9, but I don't want to seem like some kind of fucking weirdo. You know what I mean? Like
Too late.
Clockwork Orange is a 10. I like Clockwork Orange the best. That's my movie.
It's on your top 10. Dave.
I like to see people cutting open their breasts, and it's a little bit disturbed. So. All right, it's a 9, but don't tell anyone. Yeah, don't tell anyone.
I mean, it's a 9.
That's some crazy shit.
But it's not on my top 10 list because is
it on my top 10 list or is it on my top 10 horror list? Because I had to. In my mind, it's sort of so out. It's like a horror movie.
I think you might have put it on both. I'm not sure. That's if you go to daveandshecky.com and click on the forums link, we have a section where we've been putting our top 10 lists of various categories. And I know Dave put A Clockwork Orange at least on the horror category as the top 10. But I don't know, it might be on your other top 10 too, your just regular top 10. But I couldn't put it there because it's too disturbing. I don't want to be disturbed by my top 10 movie.
I also would like to just give a quick shout out to the acting prowess of Godfrey Quigley.
Who's that?
Godfrey Quigley played the prison chaplain. And he's English, but he was highly influenced by Hitler, apparently. Because he's completely goose-stepping, and he's like, he's got a Hitler mustache.
Well, that's not him. And, that's again, is Kubrick.
No, I know, but he really pulls it off well. And that guy is also in Barry Lyndon, and then he's also in Softly, Softly and Z-Cars.
What is Softly, Softly? It's a television program?
I don't know. It's some kind of like, I think it's like some sort of like detective, like The Saint or something. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure that it stars a lead character like The Saint. I'm telling you, if you look on the credits and like check it out online, like I'm telling you, like 3/4 of the people in either this or Barry Lyndon were also in Z Cars or Softly Softly.
I'll have to.
Very strange.
I'll put links to those shows in our show notes, which you can find at daveandshecky.podomatic.com. Alrighty, so was there a best and worst thing of this movie for you?
No, I think the whole thing is pretty brilliant, and the whole thing is also pretty disturbing. So the whole thing is the best and worst.
Exactly, I agree with that.
It's pretty out there.
Totally, we totally recommend it. It's not for the young ones. It's not family night. It's not a family night movie, party people. So just let's keep that in mind. I mean, it was rated X in the theater. I mean, it's and it would still be rated X today.
Malcolm McDowell was brilliant.
Yeah, he should have won the Academy Award, I think, for this movie. I can't imagine. I don't know what the other options were that year, but I can't imagine anything being close to it. I mean, just
Okay, what year was it? 71?
71?
Well, Harold and Maude, 71?
That didn't win an Oscar, so did it?
I don't know, but, you're going up against it. I wonder, I mean...
Not that it shouldn't have, but...
all I can tell you is I think the climate of movies at that point were a lot hipper than what's going on now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Please. All right. So, do you want to tell them about daveandshecky.com?
Hey, which day to say? You got it coming to daveandshecky.com. You tune in, you drop out, man, you hit it.
Well, you can do that, and you can also see, you can download past episodes, past movie reviews, if you're so inclined. But, yeah, come and visit us, daveandshecky.com. Sign up for the forums, and give us your opinions on various movie-type stuff. I guess that's it for this week, Dave.
Sounds good. It's been a hell of a time.
He's Dave.
And she's Shecky.
And we're Dave and Shecky's Groovy Boob Tube Review.
She's Shecky.
See you next week.
I was cured, all right.
Hi, Mr. Deltoid. Funny surprise seeing you here.
Alec, boy, awake at last, yes? I met your mother on the way to work, yes? She gave me the key.